birthday.
This isn't some sort of joke, you know. This is my birthday.
Hello and welcome to a very special Hunting for Histories. I'm Stephen.
And I'm Becky.
And today we are going to revisit Innerwick Castle. Indeed, here's a flashback to that first ever video. And that first ever video was exactly a year ago. And that's why we've decided to revisit Innerwick, just for a wee bit fun, now that we've got better equipment and a wee bit better knowledge.
Here is Innerwick Castle's location in Scotland. You'll see it isn't far from the capital city, Edinburgh. It's about 40 minutes away. And here is a map showing Innerwick Castle's location in comparison to some of the nearby areas we have visited, including Bilsdean, Thornton Loch, Skate Raw, where we saw the Serpent Head. We think these areas might be connected somehow, and hopefully we'll manage to explain it sometime in the future. Today, we are looking back to Innerwick Castle. It appears unclear exactly when the structure was originally built, but most seem to agree around the early 1400s. Sitting closer to the border of Scotland and England, it is said to have exchanged hands between Scots and English, with different stages or reconstructions after damages. It's said the castle has existed as a ruin since 1547, when it was allegedly attacked by the invading English and set on fire. Although significantly damaged, some have suggested that it wasn't completely ruined like it is today, as it was said to have been used by Scots horsemen in 1650 as a base to attack supply lines. Ultimately, it is believed to have been left unrepaired like many other castles in Scotland due to the expense of doing so, combined with the risk of further damage, making it seem a bit of a pointless exercise. Subsequently, it was used as a local source for stone over the years, and now it's a mysterious shadow of its former self.
And here's a wee picture of what Innerwick Castle might have looked like, put together by Andrew Spratt here. Quite something, isn't it? Makes you really think what it might have looked like in its prime. Now we've got this book called Place Names of Scotland. It's from 1901, I think, and I thought for fun I'd see if Innerwick was in it. And right enough, Innerwick is in it, and it says here Dunbar, that's the right area, 1250, Innerwick, and then it says dwelling or village, or bay at the confluence. Interesting, right? Just thought we would share that, because I've been dying to use this book for quite some time. So this is the area where we parked, where you begin the walk to make your way to the castle, and you'll see here by the sign that it's actually Scottish Wildlife Trust, Thornton, Glen. And you'll also notice that this visit is with me and my dad, Mike. And here you'll see the sign for Innerwick Castle. If you've seen the first video, you'll remember that this area was previously covered in Brussels sprouts. But today, there's none. Not even a sheep. Anyway, here we are, making our way along the glen, along the walk, getting closer to the castle. And if you did see that first video at Innerwick Castle, you might recognise this trees that were grown on top of rocks and things like that. I thought they were really intriguing. Get it? Intriguing! I like that one. Anyway, here's some of the other things we saw on the way, like this marvellous tree. Look at it, look at the size of it and how much it's spread out. This area is full of really interesting things like this. But we're here, of course, to see if there's any hidden history about. And here's the start of it. Indeed, here is the start of when you begin to notice some of these things peeking through. And that was this sort of wall here, coming through from underneath the field above. Remember, there's a field above this, which was previously, on our first visit, covered with Brussels sprouts and sheep. So yeah, this is undeniably a wall in my opinion, so I just wanted to capture it because it's a little piece of history. And if we continue just a wee bit further up the glen here, this walk, you'll see on the, look at that, that is an amazing view, isn't it? It is high up, but you will see this wall here. Look at this, very intriguing. Do you notice the difference in the lines and the patterns on it? Very intriguing, isn't it? What is going on here? I think possibly could this be a fabricated wall? something really, really, really old. Obviously, it has to be older than Innerwick Castle then. And if Innerwick Castle's dated from was it the 1400s? I mean, wow. This stuff's really old. As if it is fabricated. What do you think? Put your thoughts in the comments, please. And just like that, here we are approaching the castle, getting our first glimpses of it. But here is some of the stuff we're interested in seeing, and it's these strange wall looking like rocks, you know, the really flat ones. But look at this, this one had little recesses in it, and you can see that one there, that's really exposed, but there's a couple of others with. And one of them is just here on the left, we'll point out to you. There we go. What do you think? So yeah, intriguing stuff. Was it something done for the castle, or was it something moulded in the rock originally? I wonder. But anyway, let's proceed down to the castle.
Yo, looking at the water.
If you saw the first video, you may remember this bit. This is the castle here on the left, this big chunk of wall, look how thick it is. That's the castle there. And then you'll see this wall, this must have been part of the castle too, I assume. This looks amazing, doesn't it? But this was the stuff we were interested in, and it really looks at us like the geopolymer walls that Paul Cook has shown on his channel, and that's what we first noticed here. You know, I remember when we first saw it and we were like, wow, look at that. Just really looks like a joy mark there, doesn't it? What do you think? Looks like a joy mark with like drips coming down and then sealing it together again. What do you think? Please put your thoughts in the comments. Now here's a wee quick look at this wall as we pan round the area and get a close-up. But right across from it you'll see this is the wall that the castle's on. Look at this. Very intriguing. And we will get another wee look at that in a bit. First, here's a close-up at the wall. We're calling it the wall because that's what I think it is. And look at the earth on top of it, and as I said, there's a field up there. It's just so strange, isn't it? You'll see it does look like blocks in parts, at least in my opinion. And here is where 4 of the lines meet into a sort of hole. Strange, I mean, look at that. And I did say we'd get another look at this, so here it is. It looks kind of like a skull, don't you think? At least it reminds me of one. And then there's these strange lines down the bottom, completely different from the rest. What do you make of that? Strange. Now here is one of those holes in that skull looking part. I'm going to see how deep it goes, and look, surprisingly it does actually go quite far in. And I think you'd be hard pressed to dig this out by hand, so yeah, either it's something that's formed naturally or it was formed like that to begin with. At least that's how my brain's processing it. But having a wee look around this area, we'll get a closer look at some of this stuff, and it really is intriguing, in my opinion anyway. I mean, look at this spot for example, look at all the different directions to lines in that. I find it fascinating, really. And you know, if this is part of some old ancient structure, I'm talking about pre-Innerwick Castle, then, you know, this could just be a little part of it peeking out the ground. But proceeding on, look at this bit. This is very intriguing because if we pan round across from it, you'll actually see that there's another similar bit right here. So was there something wedged in between these? Was there some sort of bridge or something? I really do not know, you know, a platform. Please share your thoughts, what you think that could be. But you'll see this wall looking area just continues on until again it's submerged into the grass and disappears. So it makes you wonder. And here's one of my favourite bits, this corner. I mean, look at it. It's just fascinating, isn't it? Especially with this amazingly gorgeous tree just growing up the side of it. Fantastic, isn't it? And there it is, the remains of Innerwick Castle, sitting on top of this strange, really suspicious looking sandstone cliff, or blocks, as we see it. Share your thoughts and comments on this one, but here is some snaps of the area. And here's a quick wee flashback to when Becky was there a whole year ago today. Back to the present now, and here's what it looked like on the visit with my dad. Look at it, it's absolutely amazing, isn't it? It's so mysterious. But I actually love Innerwick Castle because I do think that it could be something built on top of, like a lot of castles, built on top of something really, really old.
Whoa.
And here's a closer look at some of the sandstone. Look at this. Is this blobs of iron or something? Some sort of metal coming through? Don't know, but I thought I would show it anyway. Now we're going to have another wee look at this area later, but here's a wee glimpse of it for now. There were so many interesting lines and what appeared to be join marks and different sections of stone that I had to capture it. I mean, look at some of this stuff, look at this line. It really looks like there's two separate, sections of stone here. But it could just be a crack that's formed over time. What do you think? And check out this bit again, we'll get a look at this later, but it really looked like a big, massive, section and piece sticking out of the stone. And here is another look at that strange section and piece. What do you make of it? Moving on, I was really keen to see this bit again, and if you've seen that first video, you'll recognise this bit, probably. I thought this looked like some sort of trouble pointing mark, and that's why I think it's so amazing. And here's a better look at it. What do you make of it? If you've ever seen a pointing trouble, or have experience of using it, you'll maybe know what I mean, but that's what I reckoned this reminded me of in a way. And it really looked like some sort of fabricated section. Speaking of fabricated sections, look at this, where four lines meet, and we're going to follow this one along, keep following it along, and look, it meets another two lines where there's also a hole. So let's go down, let's follow this line down this time. And we follow this one down, and look, there's another line there. Let's follow this one along. And we keep going along, and look, it goes back up. It meets another one, so we go up, and look where we end up, back where we started. Just really intriguing. I think this whole area is very mysterious, and there's little bits like that all over the place, so it's well worth a wee look around. Now we've actually walked round the corner from where that trouble mark was, and this is a bit that's new to me. I didn't come round here the first visit, and this is where the front of the sandstone cliff faces down to the gorge. I mean, and look at this. Very intriguing stuff, right? What is this? Seems that for some reason the sandstone decided not to join together at that point. And here's a better look at it. What do you reckon? Is this just something natural? Please leave your thoughts in the comments. It's a pretty impressive sight, right, isn't it? Anyway, I was keen to get a look along here as much as I could, but the day was quite a muddy, slippy and wet day here, so I couldn't get very far. But here's what I saw. Really, it's just a lot more of the same, but this bit was on quite a tight, sort of steep cliff, and it was awkward to stand at some points, and I couldn't really get much further, as you can see. I did try though, and for now, here is the cliffs that are below Innerwick Castle itself, and just what a sight, right? I'm glad I got to see it this time, because as I said, I missed this the first time that I came with Becky. All sorts of strange angles and lines all over the shop, right? And here is me trying to get a little bit further along, and I saw some more interesting rocks in the area, which I make of these, and looks like some fellow explorer left a glove. But here's where I was talking about, it was just so muddy, and it was really slippy, and I didn't want to end up stuck down there, so I thought, best be sensible and turn back. But here I am back on the point overlooking the gorge. I mean, look at this, what I could see across from here. But, turning back around, we thought this might have been the remains of some sort of writing. It looked like there was an X, maybe a Y and an O in there. What do you think? We thought it could have been, but we weren't sure. So, keen for your thoughts in the comments on that one. Here's another look at it, zooming right in. It could just be the way it's naturally eroded, but we thought we'd capture it and make note of it anyway. And here's a look further along at these cliffs that the castle's built upon. Again, I really think it could be, some of it could be in a way fabricated. The remains of something really old, far older than Innerwick Castle. Anyway, for the moment, I thought I'd try and get a closer look at that part that reminded us of some sort of old writing. So here I go. Sorry, as usual, getting distracted, following these strange lines around the place, just to see if they led anywhere. But anyway, here is a closer up look at that section. And here's a final look around this area before we move on. So we're now heading back to where we came from, at the side of the castle, but I was going to go a wee detour and see if I can get down any closer to the river. Before I do though, I just wanted to have another wee look at this area, because there's just so much going on. thing I always remember about this area was how the sandstone's turning right back to sand, and look how pure it is. So I thought I'd take a wee bundle myself and maybe see if we can do something with it. And here's another look at that area where the sand came from. And before I got moving, of course I couldn't resist another look at this. I mean, what is it? I might come back here with a metal detector just to see if it is any sort of metal. But you can see a diagonal line running up from it too. It's just very intriguing, this whole part. I mean, look at this. 2 separate sections with a partition up the middle. That's what it looks like, right? And then down here, I accept this might be a bit of reach, but I thought this looked like some sort of footprint. At least that's just to me. What do you think? Please again, as always, put your thoughts in the comments. And again, just more strange diagonal lines running about the place. As well as this sort of strange bit. Look at this thin layer of material running between the stone. And it goes quite far. I was really intrigued by that. And you'll see that recess runs all the way along back to that lovely tree that we saw earlier. Check how worn away these sandstone blocks are. Really makes you wonder how long it will take before they look like a natural piece of stone. And there's a wee bit wildlife, or a wee bit wildlife's home anyway. There's a wee bird has made its nest in between the blocks. How amazing is that, eh? Anyway, here's a few interesting snaps of the area. So here's a wee final look at this bit before I try and make my way down to the river. But yeah, look at this wall area again, in this corner. I just find it really fascinating. And then it just sinks back into the earth again, and you can still see wee bits poking up here. But yeah, it's pretty much gone after that. So here is a final wee look at this area, because now I'm going to try and work my way down to the river. To do that, I decided to keep heading on to new places that I hadn't been before. And this is where I continued to walk on. And slowly, right enough, did manage to work my way closer to the river. And on the way, look at this stuff that I saw. Found this really fascinating, lots of blocks lying around. And right enough, as I move my way down this hill towards the river, look at this. There was this fascinating wee wall. I wonder if this was part of the castle back in the day. Really curious, but here it is. And I would never have seen it if I hadn't tried to get down to the river, so I'm really glad I tried.
Mission accomplished. What do you reckon?
We look down at the river and across to the other side. What do you reckon? Look at all these rocks. It'd be great to have a look around. And my intention was to actually walk up river towards where Innerwick Castle was, but it was still quite a jump down and it was really wet mud, so it would have been really difficult to get back up, so I made the decision not to do it on this occasion. But I will try and get back here because look at some of the interesting rocks in the area that we were looking at anyway. And I would like to try and get here when it's a bit drier one time, and maybe in the summer to see what it looks like, because we've only been here in the winter months. But anyway, yeah, here's what we saw down at the river across the burn. I'd left my dad back at the castle on his own now, so I thought I'd better get moving. And here's a wee look at that wall on my way back. A wee close up. What do you reckon of it? Please put your thoughts in the comment.
Almost a wee bit wildlife. We'll check out the castle.
And look, on my way back to the castle, I noticed this handy trail of poo leading all the way there. How helpful is that, eh? Anyway, here we are back at the castle. Now I'm going to shut up for the most part as we make our way back through the previous area to the current castle entrance.
Wow.
Just look how flat that is. Incredible, eh? This is us actually coming into the castle area now, but before we look around there, there's a wee bit up here on the left that I wanted to show you, and it's these massive like block looking shapes. What are these, do you think? It's not like the rest of the castle, I don't think, and maybe this is something older. Yeah, just wanted to make note of that. Anyway, we're going to make our way over to the castle area now. But first, look at this wee bit. It's like a filled in area that's been, you can't get to anymore. Look at that. Completely filled with earth and stuff. I wonder what it was. What part of the castle it used to be. So, here I am wandering around the ruins of Innerwick Castle trying to find my dad.
Oh.
Not filling my heat.
What?
See all that? I
Did it?
me as I walked through.
See? So my dad had first-hand or first-head experience in just how unstable this place can be at parts. Don't worry though, he was fine, and we continued our exploration.
Turn the brightness up. Just look around the cave. The castle. Look at that.
What a place, right? It really is quite magical. And you know, there's actually quite impressive pieces of stonework here and there. Especially for its said age. Really incredible. And here we are, up on top of the stone ridge that it's built on. Look at that. This is the view from above. We were down there earlier on looking up. And look at this interesting wee channel that I noticed. I wonder what this was for back in the day. Makes you think, right? And looking this way, that's where the wall was we walked around the back of earlier on to get here.
Isn't that strange? Yeah. So, I hope as you'll see there's loads of wee interesting points to this castle. And here's another one, but all these wee mentions that people have carved in around near this window. Some of them way older and some of them much more recent, but another interesting wee piece of history there.
Do a couple of years like that, Stephen, see?
Take it as would have been a staircase going up, which is now destroyed. Look at that over to there. Get up there. Just go the other way. Oh, sorry Dad.
Since in our first video on Innerwick we didn't really spend a lot of time looking around inside the castle, thought we'd have a little bit more in depth on this one, to try and give a little bit of a better picture of what's actually still remaining here. Just wanted to point out this arch point, making me really wonder just how much earth is actually built up on the side here. And here's an excellent view of that wall looking area from above. And look, like we said, you can see that there's a field right on top of it. Look at that. So I'm now on one of the highest parts you can get to, and this is the views that you can see from it. And it looks like we're actually level. If you look when we're up here, with the two fields at each side. I just thought that was really interesting. Anyway, now I'm going to jump over to that side and see what things are like over there.
See what's up here.
stairs would have took us up here. Holy
Video never does it justice, but when you're there and you realise how high up you actually are, wow, it's pretty wild actually. Anyway, it was almost time for us to get going, so I thought once again I better go find my dad and say our farewells to Innerwick Castle.
Eh? I was over there, aye. What's the arch? What arch? Oh, there? Yeah, I was just over there, aye.
What, you were standing on top of that?
I just walked over, aye.
I mean, in theory.
So just before we went, I ran back over the other side just to get some snaps of one another. And I did work as a roofer for 6 years, so I'm quite comfortable with these heights. And just to note, I do realise how dangerous this place is, and I do try and be as careful as possible.
Here, wait there, I'll get one for you here, Dad, that's a good one.
Sorry, always getting distracted by taking pictures. But I promise we really are going to be getting on our way now,
Lovely.
as we didn't have much time left. But we did fit in a wee spooky treat of a visit to a place just before we left this area, so stay around for that. First off, here we are beginning to make our way back to the start.
Oh well.
And here's another close-up glance of those strange rocks that we saw just on the entryway there, just on the way in, as we were getting near the castle. It really makes me wonder, you know, was this here before the castle was built? Or were these sort of engravings and stuff, these, you know, alcoves added into the natural rock face when they were building the castle? Anyway, here's a final glance and a final farewell. Also a final glance and a final farewell to these blocks.
It's almost a year since we were here, and when we were here there was Brussels sprouts. Look at that, Dad. Cool, eh? Oh no, poor wee bit of wildlife.
So this is us at the end of the Innerwick Castle exploration. What do you think of it? Do you think it could be built on top of something really old? Could those walls at the back be geopolymer? Or is this all just a natural formation that's been cut for the castle? Who knows? I hope to come back here and explore a little bit more some other time. First off, we did say we had a spooky street, and that is Innerwick Graveyard, or Innerwick Church.
Groovy.
And this is where it's actually located, not too far from the castle.
This is Innerwick Parish Church. Said to have been originally built in 1784, there is a record of a church existing here in the 12th century as seen on canmore.org, but they also note that there's no evidence of any earlier building. According to places of worship in Scotland, Innerwick Parish Church features a western belfry with a 12-inch bell cast by McFarlane and Co. of Perth in 1827. They say the church also contains an ancient St Adamn's bell preserved in a grille on the porch and dated to around 800 AD. Stephen and Mike didn't notice that one on their visit though.
Indeed, unfortunately we did not notice that, but we did notice lots of interesting gravestones and carvings into some of the graves. So, stick around if you'd like to see some of those. But yeah, as you can see, there's some really old stuff around here, and we'll try to get a look at some of the dates, but I mean, look at this. That just looks proper old, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let's do that. Now I noticed they had quite a consistent style in some of the faces, so look out for that. Sort of like where they have these sort of brought in eyes, in very simplistic look, but yeah, I found that really interesting as well. There was lots of skulls and angels and things like that around on these graves, so pretty creepy. I'm sure they all have a meaning. I'm not too sure what they are. So if you do know, please put your thoughts in the comments and share that with us. I'd be really interested. There you see what I mean about that style. It even reminds me of an old Enter Shikari album cover, that one. But what a fantastic place to have as your final resting place, right? Well, there's no been much on this one and we have to take what we can get, so there's a wee bit wildlife. And if you look over there, look how high up that actually is. It's pretty mind-boggling, right? Anyway, let's continue on to explore the graveyard of this Innerwick Parish Church. And here is a close-up look at it itself. Look at that. 1700s they say. Quite amazing, right?
Very cool.
So I'm going to shut up for a wee bit and just let you enjoy some of the sights that we saw in this graveyard before we move on. How interesting was some of that, right? Here's a few final snapshots before we move on. And as always, please leave your thoughts in the comments on what you think some of these symbols and things could mean. So please do enjoy these final views of Innerwick Parish Church, because it's just about time to move on. And you know, if you're still here, I just want to say a big thanks for joining us. I wonder if we'll make it to 2 years, and I wonder where that video will be. Here's hoping. There you go, another wee bit wildlife just in time. And it's going to be a final farewell to Innerwick once again. So please leave your thoughts in the comments about anything from the castle to the graveyard and beyond. But as ever, thank you for joining us today. We've got a few interesting things coming up. If you did like this video, we would appreciate it if you clicked the like button.
Or maybe subscribe if you'd like to see more.
But please do consider coming back next time, because we've got a few interesting things on the way. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and cheerio.